Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Up front is a 4.7 liter V8, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Jeep Grand Cherokee for a couple of reasons. First of all, I really like this era of Jeep, and we'll get into why that is, but this really feels like a product of the 80s or 90s, not necessarily in technology, but just the overall feeling of the car, and I'll explain why that is. The second reason is the fact that this era of Grand Cherokee is hailed as one of the last good ones. This is the WJ, and so there's quite a bit to talk about with this current automobile. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 4.7 liter V8 under the hood. Well, it was a smaller V8, and this actually took over for the 5.2 liter V8 that you could get earlier, even the 5.9 liter. This is known as the PowerTech V8 and makes about 235 horsepower and 285 pound-feet of torque. Now, I like this V8. However, you could also get a 6-cylinder, which was the 4-liter AMC engine that we also saw in the XJ Cherokees, which is also an incredibly reliable, incredibly just wonderful engine. So you really couldn't go bad with whatever engine you picked for your Grand Cherokee. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic, and that was actually new here for the year 2000. And it's very interesting. It actually has 2 second gears. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to properly explain it. Here's the Wikipedia article. But from what I can tell and what I've read, there's a second gear for when you go up the gears, and then there's a different second gear for when you mash the pedal in 3rd or 4th. It will actually kick down into this alternate second gear. Very strange. And I haven't seen that or heard of that on other vehicles, so that is unique to the Grand Cherokee. Last but not least, this is 4-wheel drive, and it also has a very trick 4-wheel drive system. This is called Quadra Drive, which is basically just auto 4-wheel drive. It will choose when it puts itself into 4-wheel drive or not. Now, of course, you can put it into 4-low. It still does have a transfer case and everything, but this was actually pretty revolutionary to have an automatic 4-wheel drive system. Even the 2025 Toyota Tacoma doesn't have an automatic 4-wheel drive system. This had it in the year 2000. Very cool, and they were very proud of that because they stuck a Quadra Drive badge on the shifter and on the tailgate. So how does it feel to drive the 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee? Well, it does drive nice. However, the steering kind of walks around a little bit. It's not a fully luxurious experience. It's still very much a Jeep experience, but this also has a solid front axle, which is why a lot of Jeep fans love it. So you're going to get that. You're going to get feelings like that. That's actually why they went away from the solid front axle after this generation, because they wanted the Grand Cherokee to drive more like a traditional SUV, and today they drive like traditional luxury SUVs. There's no difference. So that was why that swap was made. This has the solid front axle, while the Grand Cherokees that came after didn't. Visibility's good, ride quality's fine, nothing more to say. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. But actually, before we do that, I just pulled up on something, a Bradley GT. What in tarnation is that? Huh, that's pretty neat. All right, back to the Grand Cherokee. In front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is my fuel, battery voltage, and tachometer. And off to the right is my speedometer, oil pressure, and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, on the left and right, we have our cruise control settings. Very nice to see cruise control in the year 2000. And off to the left, we have a climate control vent with nothing surrounding it. No light switch, no dome light, no anything. It's just out there alone. Moving on to the door, we do have 2 levels of memory seats, and these will bond to the key fob that you grab. So key fob 1 will go with memory seat 1, key fob 2 will go with memory seat 2. Very, very cool. And then we have our power mirrors, power windows, and our power locks. Moving into the center, we do have the radio. This is actually from a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee, so it is updated with the DVD player, some nicer sound things. This is what it probably would have looked like. This was a very popular radio that Chrysler used in the era, so something to note. Down below that, we have 2 climate control vents and the climate controls themselves. Something to note, dual zone climate here in the year 2000. Absolutely love that. Down below, we do have heated seats. Again, lovely features. And below the driver's heated seat, we get a 12-volt outlet, and below the passenger heated seat, we also get a 12-volt outlet. One is for a cigarette lighter, one is not. Then we do have a little cubby if you'd like to store your die-cast cars or mints. And then we have the shifter. So as you'll see, it has 2 shifters. So off to the left, this is the shifter for the 4-wheel drive. Again, that Quadra Drive. And off to the right is the standard transmission shifter. So kind of a weird look here. It almost reminds me of the lightning rods from GM a decade earlier, but very, very cool. Down below, we do have a cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And they are 2 different sizes, and I'm happy to report that the larger sized cup holder actually does pass the big friggin' bottle test. I was not suspecting it, but it is a pass, and I'm happy to see it. Then we do have a center console and the seats. The seats are very cushy, very plush, and I like them a lot. Just looking at them, you could tell that this is kind of an older style of seat, but I like that. I like that holdover. I like that feeling that these seats give you. They are very, very comfortable, and by far not only the most comfortable Jeep seats of the era, but probably some of the most comfortable Jeep seats ever. Jeep has always been a very grunty, off-roady brand, and yet this is kind of a departure from that. This is actually soft and supple, which I really, really enjoy. However, the suppleness continues in the back, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and a couple of things to note. First of all, headroom, not super great. Knee room, not super great. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. I'm a little crammed back here. Kids, gonna fit fine. You know, shorter fellows and fellas, chicos and chicas, they're gonna fit back here better. I'm a little bit bigger than most, so I don't fit super well. It's not the end of the world, but just something to note. I do have pull-out cup holders, which we can also big friggin' bottle test, and it passes, so the back seats pass as well. But overall, the nice seats carry on back here. Again, I love this design. I love the color choice. Very 90s, 80s Chrysler that I just adore so much. So big fan of that. Now, we do have some cargo space out back, so let's hop back there and do a trunk review. All right, around the back of the Grand Cherokee, and as you can see, it has the Quadra Drive badge at the back. I'm surprised that when you drove off the dealer lot in the 1990s or 2000s, they didn't force you to get a tattoo of Quadra Drive to make you remember that it has that big handle here. Pull it up. We have 2 struts helping out, so it's not too heavy. And here is the rear cargo space. We do get a power outlet over there. We get some storage as well. Very nice to see that. And we have the spare tire underneath the bottom of the trunk. Overall, we also get this privacy cover, very nice, but overall, tons and tons of space around the back of the Grand Cherokee, which is very nice to see. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like the look of this generation of Grand Cherokee. I like the maroon color. I like that they at least just came in nice, fun colors. Of course, the wheels have been painted aftermarket. The stripes on the hood are aftermarket or done after the fact, so nothing really interesting or unique there. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited from the year 2000? Well, I've really enjoyed my experience. Couple of the downsides. It doesn't drive great. That solid front axle really impedes its drivability. You are not forgetting the fact that you are in a Jeep. You are not in a luxury product. This is a Jeep at the end of the day. And so that steering feel really reinforces that. The gauge cluster also intermittently goes out if the battery terminal is any type of loose. The gauges malfunction, kind of a Chrysler issue. And of course, this being a Midwestern car for the last 25 years, it has gained some rust. There's no escaping it here. It's going to be the death of all cars. So it's just unfortunate to see that, but I do feel like Jeep, Chrysler, Ram products do tend to rust a little bit quicker than the competition. However, on the flip side, there's a lot of good things about this. It has some serious off-road chops with that part-time four-wheel drive, the low-speed transfer case, as well as the solid front axle makes this incredibly capable, and that's why Jeep enthusiasts tend to flock to these quite a bit. In here, it's been incredibly luxurious. The seats have been nice and comfortable, dual zone climate, heated seats, cruise control, all very, very nice things to see out of a Jeep product. And so at the end of the day, this is nice. This is one of the best, and it does feel like a older Chrysler product in the best way possible. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it actually feels like this was built by a group of men and women that I would know. This felt like it was built by a union group of neighbors. Modern Stellantis products feel like they're engineered and built by robots, because they are. There's not a whole life into them. But looking at the seats, looking at the interior, the drivetrain, I feel like if I open up the glove box, Lee Iacocca himself might fall out. And he left the company 8 years before this vehicle went on sale. He was probably around for maybe part of its development, but you know what I mean. It has that old Lee Iacocca Chrysler feeling. The late 80s, maybe they weren't the most reliable, but Chrysler's had this independent feeling that they just lack nowadays. This felt unique. This felt like a standalone product that Chrysler could be proud of, and I don't get that in modern vehicles. So this is really, really great. It might not be the nicest riding SUV in the world, but also SUVs were kind of this new market in the late 90s. Although this is the second generation of the Grand Cherokee, it is a good one, and I really, really enjoy it. And you have to factor in that this has 212,000 miles, no major repairs, nothing too critical has gone wrong. 212,000 miles, this has almost been to the moon. That is seriously impressive, and it also goes to show that when you take care of your car, it'll take care of you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Jason for letting me borrow his 2000 Grand Cherokee for today's video. Jason has been absolutely wonderful. He met me out here in beautiful Sycamore, Illinois on the first nice day of the year. He's been absolutely wonderful, very thoughtful. He also printed me out this sheet of information so I could keep with me and take some notes, which I really appreciate. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.